All right, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting, relic, and treasure hunting. You can also call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have. Relics Radio is available live on the Spreaker app, but it's also archived wherever you get your podcast. You're listening to Relics Radio.
Reset the frame. Roll back the screen. Yeah, take two. Take two. Everyone ready? In places? Here we go. Ready? Direction? Good. Audio? Good. How about screenplay? Good. Co-host, you're good? All right. Everyone, take two. Take two. Here we go. Another Relics Radio. Hey, everyone. DK here from the Adventures in Dirt. Coming to you for another live Relics Radio. Got my co-host with me, Tony. What's up, Tony?
Man, you cracked me up. I didn't know you were going to do that. I was refraining now from laughing loudly into the mic because that was funny. What happened last week? We crashed Spreaker.
We did. Can you believe it? You know,
Joe
Rogan can't hold a candle to us. But
we were teed up. You hit go, and the whole thing went down at 6.
Yep. We were good up to that point until I hit go live, and then it went.
Yeah,
and
well,
it just died. And then we couldn't get on Spreaker. We couldn't load Spreaker. We couldn't get on
nothing
at all. And especially the interface that they give us to use here, this dashboard to project the show out to Spreaker. That's how we host the show. That's how we get it out to you all live like this. It also has another function where we can actually record some shows if we wanted to. Matter of fact, Tony and I have been talking about maybe doing that a couple times just in case him and I get caught up and we have a week that comes up that we can't make the show or something. We'll have like a recorded episode ready to go. But when I can either go with this dashboard, I can either go live or I could go record, and save it for later. And man, nothing would work. It just went completely blank. And Tony, Jeff, and I are just sitting there looking at each other like, what?
Hey, you got anything over there? Nope,
Yeah,
nothing. It's
no.
nothing. I'm dead over here. What about you? No, I'm dead over here. Yeah, it was an interesting. Man, we were all.
We waited a few minutes to see
Yeah.
if it'd come back up, and then at some point we're like, well, people either probably tuned in to check us out live and then probably split because they're like, well, they ditched us again. It's been a while since we've been on, so people probably just thought we had ditched them again.
I know. We got 2 weeks we haven't been on.
2 weeks.
We took off Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving, by the way?
Oh, hey, thanks. Yeah, it was cool. It was small and intimate. Now, normally, I mean, we've talked about it before. Normally, our house is where all the kids come to play. You know what I mean? Like, I have a large family. I got 6 kids and 6 grandkids, and normally we have friends and cousins and everyone over, and I cook way too much food, and I got multiple meats on multiple smokers, and I'm usually that guy. You know what I mean? I'm cooking. That's how I show my love, is I'm going to cook for you, And this year, man, it was just a couple kids, a girlfriend, one of our kids' girlfriend, and Sheila and I, and it was awesome.
It was good.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Still make too much food then?
Yeah, I still did. But you know what? I did it on purpose this year because I decided, I've been on the keto diet for 6 months now, and I decided this Thanksgiving I was going to go ahead and go off it a little bit and start eating some carbs. So
you're gonna do it right.
I did an extra turkey. So, and then the next week, my wife made a bunch of homemade bread so I could do turkey sandwiches, which is one of my all-time favorite things about Thanksgiving. Has been
Yes.
leftover turkey and homemade bread and turkey sandwiches. I ate probably 15 turkey sandwiches in the week following Thanksgiving.
Good for you.
Yeah. How
Good.
was yours?
It was good. Small, like you said. I was supposed to have all the kids over, and my grandson came down with a lung infection or some sort of something or other in his lungs. So my daughter-in-law stayed home with him, so we didn't have those two. And then my other son, um, one of his roommates came down with COVID, so he wasn't feeling well, so he didn't come over. So there's three people that didn't come over, but everybody else that came over, we had a good time. Same thing, made too much food. Now I did not make a turkey this year.
Hmm.
I went with the chicken. Imagine that.
Okay.
I made it a chicken.
Yeah.
But next year, I'm letting this information out right now. I've ordered turkeys. I'm on the list. I'm going to get turkeys. We're going to raise our turkeys over at the ranch with our chickens, and we're going to have Swift Creek Ranch farm raised organic turkeys for next Thanksgiving.
Man,
So
I need to put my
yeah,
I need
get
to
your
put my
orders in now.
reservation in right now.
Yeah.
Let me know as soon as you have those orders ready to go. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'm looking at the chat. You guys are great. I have my hands on one of them chickens that you.
You do.
One of your chicks. One of your
Really?
chicks dig me now, or at least they're about ready to when I spatchcock that thing. And
You let me know. You let me know what you think. I was heading up to Fort Collins to visit my daughter at school, and I was like, Ken's about a half hour away. Let me swing around over to his house and drop off a chicken for you. So
Man, I love
I'm
it.
anxious to hear what you think.
Yeah, I haven't done anything with it yet, but I plan on it, and I'm looking forward to it. And you dropped some eggs off to me too, and I tell
Yeah.
you what, they were amazing. They were great.
Yeah, thanks.
Like we've already eaten the whole dozen. It was it
Good.
was pretty good. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear
Who do
that.
we see in the chat, man?
Holy cow.
Yeah, everyone in the chat, let us know how your Thanksgiving was. Sorry, it's been a while since we chatted with you, but who we got?
Yeah, Ohio Relic Hunter. He was in before I think we even started the show. I don't know how he did it, but yeah. Bill was in there saying evening. Bill Hayes says hi. We got, let's see, who else? Barb. Miss Barb, Dirt
Hey,
Pirate.
Barb.
Yeah.
Boy, she's busy and take the time off to
I
come listen to
know.
us. Barb, what are you doing that for? You
I
should be
know. All that's
elbows into all that stuff. The kids
Yeah.
giveaway.
following all the kids' giveaway stuff on Facebook. She is busy.
Yeah.
Mr. Steve Adams says, howdy. Good to see you, Steve. We're glad
Hey,
to have
Steve.
you on.
See you, man.
Michael Boyles. Hello, y'all.
Hey, Mike.
Welcome in. Anybody else you see?
Yeah, I can see Matt, Ski Searcher.
Oh, Ski.
What's up?
Good to have you, everybody
Bottle
here.
of Ski. Yeah, Bill Hayes. All these guys got coming in. Absolutely great to see everyone rolling in. And yeah, if you guys are not familiar with it, I know it's too late to enter now. Barb's already shut down the entry, but if you have entered her Christmas Kids giveaway that she does every year, good luck to you. Best of luck to you. It's for the kids. And she absolutely does a great job with that every single year. It's just, I know it's a lot of work, and just imagine, you got, I think she said like she's almost up to like 300 kids entered or something like that. And she's got to wade through all that. She's got to try to find a way of doing it fairly. And this year she's doing like the general giveaway different than she's doing like the detector giveaways. In other words, like every kid that entered gets a number assigned to them, and then they'll do like random draws of numbers and for standard stuff. But the detectors, like you've got to watch it. She gave out a timetable of, for like 5-year-olds, for the detector for 5-year-olds. Like she's going to run that contest between this hour and this hour on this day, happening in the next 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And for 7-year-olds, you got a different time slot. You got to go there, and she's probably going to ask you to do something. You got to just enter it because she only wants to give one detector away to one family, which is great. And but with that many people entered, inevitably people are going to get things wrong and go to the wrong entry and stuff. So I wish her a lot of rest, a lot of patience, and a lot of thanks for doing that for everybody this year. Awesome.
She is so busy with that. If you guys aren't following her over on Facebook, Barb, if you can maybe put that maybe a link in the chat, or I'll try and pull one out here. But she says in the chat over here, there's a few prizes left to wrap, and then the cray cray begins at 6 p.m. tomorrow. So it's exciting to watch. Oh gosh, she is so busy, and
Yes.
what an amazing thing that she does every single year. And I'm happy to say that Relics Radio's a little bit a part of that this year as well. So
Yep.
Barb,
Yeah,
we wish you the best of luck. And then I mean, all those kids you're taking care of. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Barb. It's amazing. I know I put a few of my grandkids in there, the ones
Good.
that were older kids,
Yeah.
7, 8, and 6, something like that, or 9, 8, and 6, something like that. But yeah, we'll see. A lot of people have entered that, and it's a great thing. So what else besides Thanksgiving, Tony? Like, let me see, what else have we been doing? I haven't gotten out. The weather's been frigid, just frozen ground frigid here.
Yeah,
which is why we thought to do this show, right?
Right. Yeah. Coming up tonight on the show, we're going to talk a little bit about what you do during those cold winter months here in the United States, and different ways to research areas and find maybe some new potential spots to hit next spring.
Yeah. There's some people in part of the country where they can almost detect year round. Some better than others. Florida and some parts of Louisiana, and it's just you're lucky if you're in those parts of the country to where you can detect and swing most year round. I know here in Colorado, boy, our season gets shut down pretty hard. We should probably still can go hit a park or two right now where things aren't deep and you don't have to dig. But
I also I do know that in even up in the mountains, if you get underneath the trees where they've got the pine needles that have really fallen over many years, it really insulates that ground. And if you need to, you could get down a little bit into there. It's gonna take a little bit of a drive for us, but I think we could find some spots maybe on a south facing ledge or something like that gets a little bit more sun, and with all the needles and everything, it might be able to dig something there. But generally, Colorado, man, you'll need a jackhammer once that ground freezes. It is brutal.
Yeah, you're right. That was a good point. Up there in the mountains, those underneath those trees is always lovely, even during the summer months where, you go out on some of these plains where it's just sunbaked for so long, and then we just love when we get up underneath some pine trees, either down here or up in the mountains. The dirt's just like so loamy, and just just your shovel goes right in like butter. So yeah. Ski Searcher Matt says a lot of rain every time it warms up here in southern Illinois. Who's
Michael Boyles? Yes, Florida. You can detect the beaches in all directions in an hour. So, whatever.
yeah, Florida. Yeah,
Florida.
Would love to go there. I'm having Florida thoughts these days.
Yeah.
Just would love to get away. I know. Yeah, people have kind of heard. I've kind of shared with everyone. My wife's been off work for quite a while due to a work injury and stuff, and she just went back to work. Like, she just got back to work, doing her job that she loves to do, and seeing her coworkers and not being in this house. I mean, that's really taxing on you. And you want to be somebody that's contributing to society and helping people, and that's what she does. And to not do that and just be stuck around the house, she's been going bonkers, man. And she's just a warrior, I tell you, hanging in there for all this time. It's been about a year and a half, and you think she'd get used to it, but no, man, she was itching to get back to work. So
when I stopped
been big changes around here.
Yeah, when I stopped at the house to visit with you guys, I tell you, she's a different person now, being able to get back to work, and she put in so much time to get to that level. Professionally,
surgeries and therapy and
all of that,
massage, and just constant doctor's appointments. She had like 3 or 4 a week, every week, and she would just go to them and do everything they asked her to do. She was in a workers' comp system because she got injured at work. And I'm telling you, that's not an easy system to partake in. She was trying to do the right thing, and just all the stuff they ask of you. It's a tough thing. For those of you ever been involved in it, you know what I'm talking about. Just jumping through all the hoops they want you to jump, and they want to do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
They don't want to rush anything,
Yeah.
Crazy. Hollywood.
Yeah, we got Tim Illdigger just popping
Hollywood
in.
Joe.
Hollywood Joe over. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming on.
He texted me last week. He's like, "You guys going on or what?"
I know. I'm telling you, we had a lot of people waiting last week, and it literally crashed Spreaker. So
And we don't really know how to let people know, really, except for put it on Relics Radio
right,
Facebook group. So if you're not a member of Relics Radio Facebook group, we'll grab the link here in a minute. Head on over there, become a member, and if anything, you can get updates as to who our guest is on Relics Radio and what's going on with us. And if we ever have to cancel a show, we will put it there for whatever reason. But right now, I think we're pretty much clear sailing. I don't know any other dates we have coming up that. I don't know, probably around Christmas or so. We might take some time off around there. We'll have to see. But yeah, so no swinging for you at all. You haven't gotten out and.
no, I tell you, I am. I've kind of put everything away for the year, but I am waiting for something special to show up at my mailbox. That's what I'm
Really?
waiting for.
Santa bringing it.
I hope it gets here before Santa gets here.
Mm,
I'm anxious. I have heard that they. I mean, obviously everybody's heard they started shipping the Manicores out, right?
yeah, yeah, they've
So
started
they,
shipping those. I've seen one picture so far. Somebody that's received theirs.
yeah, I
Oh,
saw
Drew
somebody.
Holick.
Drew got one, but I
Drew got one.
saw people in Australia had got it last
Yep.
week. You know,
Yeah,
they were going
Neil picked one up.
they were going to detecting stores and picking them up.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I saw Drew got his already, and
Yeah.
it's great. I saw the
Yeah.
joke. It said, "Hey, I saw that you got the Manticore. Did you get the crazy lamp lady, the woman Acor, instead of the Manticore,
The Gallicore. Yeah.
the Gallic?"
That's funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm anxious. I've talked
bet,
to my supplier, and I'm like, hey, there might be a little extra scratch for you if you can get it
Get
over
it
to me
moving.
quick. Yeah.
Oh, look at Hollywood Joe's comment. Joe just put in the chat he received 7 today. He's working with Andy over there, right? And
Yeah.
wow, pretty cool there, Joe. And mine's in the mail, right? Tony's in the mail.
I
Is that
I
the deal?
hope so. I hope so.
He's gonna write it. He's gonna bust us for that. You watch his next message here in chat.
Yep.
And if you're listening live and you've never joined us here in chat, you should check it out. And what it is if you go to Spreaker.com, Relics Radio, and there's a comment section down below, and that's actually our live chat. Yeah, you can leave comments any other time you're listening to the show and let us know. And but during our live broadcast, the comment section is actually our live chat, and it's just scrolling. So feel free to join us sometime. Drop your comments in there. I know that we love hearing from people, and it gives us extra people to interact with here. Tonight, there's no guest. Jeff had to call himself out. Matter of fact, he's been messaging me all night. He's
Oh,
been
yeah.
involved with something cool tonight. I won't blow it for him. I'll let him talk
No.
about it. But yeah, he couldn't make it back tonight with us. And best of luck to him. And congratulations to Jeff, if you happen to be listening. And so it's just Tony and I tonight, and we thought we'd talk about, there's all kinds of things to talk about.
So
Really,
much.
we got, the main point of the show is to kind of chat about the stuff that, well, at least Tony and I are planning on doing this winter. And so if you're like us and you're in these winter states that are just getting shut down, you can hear some of the stuff we plan on doing and see if it strikes a chord from you. And then tell you what, in about another 15 minutes, we're going to open up the phone lines. You feel free to call in and share your advice and your tips for research, for equipment, maintenance, all kinds of other stuff we're going to talk about tonight. But there's also all kinds of great announcements and movement in our hobby from a manufacturer side that we definitely need to talk about.
Yes.
So maybe we should jump into that. You already brought up the MindLab Manticore, which you've ordered. And
I ordered.
they've
I'm on the
started
list.
shipping.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm ready for that to get here. And then what happened? What was that? 2 weeks ago?
Right, yeah, like a couple of weeks ago, right? They had this big, same company, MindLab. My gosh, just they started. Well, first they started throwing out hints, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like little mystery hints, right? What was the first one? Something about twos or something?
Comes what is it? Comes better in twos or something like that. It's better when it
Yeah,
comes in twos.
Things are better in
Yeah,
twos.
there you go.
Yeah, and that started all kinds of speculation.
Right. It was like a 30-second promo video, and it just seemed to come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
And then they said
And
December 1st
yeah,
was
December
their
1st.
info they were going to release about it.
Yeah. And everyone was speculating that maybe it
Right.
was, was this, comes in twos. Well, what can comes in twos? Well, the CTX 3030 has two sets of 30 in
3030.
it.
Right.
So
Right.
3030 comes in twos. What else?
When you
I was
got
thinking, it could have been Manticore's little brother or something.
right.
I mean,
Right.
Manticore Junior or something. If it comes in twos, and I know they're getting ready to release and ship the Manticore,
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know. You released a cool video about it with your speculation.
I was wrong. First,
Yeah,
I'm admitting it right here live. I was wrong. I thought it was a an upgrade to the CTX 3030. That's what I thought it was,
yeah.
and I
Which
was wrong.
I think a lot of people would be very excited about that.
I believe that as well, especially with the technology coming from the Manicore. I thought they might
Yeah.
step up in that direction and bring that in, stuff up
Well,
there.
and with the Manicore having the 2D display,
Yep.
that's I don't know how it's going to stack up against the 3030. But maybe that's why they haven't done that yet. Maybe they're like, oh, let's see how the Manticore does, and maybe it'll take people's taste away from wanting that 3030 upgrade, or revamping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, good to see you, man. Welcome to chat. Glad you heard me talking about that and was able to get in here. Good to see you, Dave. He is from Eastern Pennsylvania.
Awesome.
A wonderful place to be. Would love to be out there right now.
There's another idea. Tim Ildigger just said he thought it was going to be the Bluetooth pinpointer for the Manicore.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That was my second idea.
Yeah.
Was it was going to be maybe a pinpointer?
Because it better comes in twos.
Yeah, there you go.
Things come better in twos, yeah.
Paired it up with the Manicore.
Yeah. Do you think how I do, Joe? Hollywood Joe just said he doesn't think the 3030 is coming. Is that because of what I said? Do you think that they're waiting to see how this Manticore performs and it kind of being the new iteration of the 3030 in a more modern set of technology? Let me know what you think, Joe. But they finally came out and released it December 1st. You were there. I was there. We are trying to watch it. You went right on and kind of put out a video on it. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what they announced, just in case people are listening and they haven't heard the news yet, which I can't imagine. But
they released an updated version of the Equinox line, and it's going to be the 700 and 900. So now they're going to have the 600, 800, and then kind of updating the 700 to 900. So there's a lot of great upgrades that they made for that.
Yeah.
A lot of great upgrades. I think my biggest issue, though, was they're already shipping. I mean, people already have their hands on this 700, 900. They made the announcement a week ago. People already have it. I'm still waiting on the Manicore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, tell me about some of the comments you read on that video you released, because what has been, give us the flavor, good and bad, because I know it caused a little bit of an upheaval from people. People are like, what?
Yeah, and I think people were saying, why not just continue that line of the 600, 800, make sure that we get the updates for it, maybe come out with some better coils or something to it. But they pretty much have, I mean, like Joe said right here in the chat, I believe the 600 and 800 are done. So it kind of really turned a lot of people off. I heard a lot of negative talk about that they really changed the community with that series right there. I know it's been out for 4 years, almost 5 years now, and it's been near the top, or if not the best detectors out there. People have really taken to it, and it's really been a game changer. I know that when you and I are metal detecting out there with Beth, did she have a 600 or 800? I can't remember.
600.
She had the 600.
Yep.
She was finding stuff that we couldn't even come across. And that was my first exposure to it, and everybody that I've heard from believed wholeheartedly in that 800, everything that it did.
Right.
And it is a truly fantastic machine. But then they come out with the 700 and 900, and they've upped their game for sure. I'm not going to lie. They really, the things that they have done to improve that line are just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, they kind of reminded me of the A series, from Garrett that they came out the
Mm-hmm.
200, 250, 300, 450, 400. They just kept improving on it kind of for different kind of price point, different kind of level. And that's the difference,
Yeah.
in that Mind Lab, this isn't like a completely different, 700, 900 aren't, different price point. There are different price points, but they're not for different level detectors. You know what I mean?
Right.
Both of them are still really great, mid-range detector, higher to the higher range detectors, for sure. It's just, with the upgraded technology and upgraded fixes and different accoutrements, is that the word?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
Well,
been
you're
waiting to
coming.
use
I
that
mean,
word. How's
the
that?
700 is going to come in at $699. So, still a fantastic price point for that. The
Yeah,
900 will be 1099. Little bit,
yeah,
little bit of pushing that envelope a little bit.
yeah,
But it is an upgrade. I know I was talking with Andy O'Neill,
yeah.
and Andy was live on Facebook. I don't know, a couple days ago maybe, and he had said the things that we had talked about as well was I think the biggest change that MindLab really took into account was going to getting away from that 40 digit VDI and going up to what is it, 119 digits now or something like that.
Yeah, with some negatives
Right.
and positives, yeah, so that
Incredible.
the low iron actually dips negative. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You remember that
Amazing.
first detector I had, that very
Uh
old,
huh.
old bounty hunter?
Yeah.
It had 199 VDI number.
199 VDI. I remember that. It blew
Yeah,
me away.
with an 8-inch concentric coil. And I'm telling you what, man, don't knock it till you try it. That was a pretty good machine. It was the bounty. It was the Time Ranger Pro, and I tell you what, it did a lot of things for being a cheap little metal detector, man. And you could, those large ranges were kind of cool because you could really kind of discern
Hmm.
between things really easy. I don't. I'm not a big fan of narrow
No,
VDI ranges. You know what I
I'm
mean?
not either.
And that's why the T2 is like a cool relic machine, because its mid range is a really healthy mid range series of VDI numbers, and a nice and healthy silver range too. I'm not a big fan of the detectors that have a very narrow silver range, kind of like, you're within, like 10 digits of each other,
Hmm.
and you really got to, watch it pretty close. I think there's just too much room there for being fooled
There's a lot of
and
overlapping.
chicken. Yeah, a lot of overlap there. So it'll be interesting to see what this does with those longer stretches of VDI range for sure.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to see that. I know people are that may have been say the only or limited amount of complaints that they had about the 600 and 800 was that the shorter VDI range.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's MindLab just wanted to be different per se, because you have Garrett, you've got everybody else is using that 100 scale. Maybe they're trying to be a little bit different to stand out, but maybe there's enough complaints that they listened, and with the new machines, they're up to that. Well, even more than 100. They really
Yeah.
expanded it out. And I like how they did that too, having the negatives going down in the iron.
Yeah.
Pretty cool
Well, I've
stuff.
I've been, for a while now, I've been in the market kind of trying to make my mind up if I want to buy
Hmm.
one of the new, upper end machines that, more popular machines. I want to, I just don't know which way to go. I've been talking about it for a while. I bought the Simplex and it sat in my car for a while. I took it to England. It was a great backup because my T2 wasn't waterproof. And so when it rained and snowed and hailed on me, I pulled that thing out and it kept me in the field.
Hmm.
Um, and I found my gold coin with it. So I mean, I like that little Simplex. But yeah, I've been, we went to Oklahoma, and Hollywood Joe here and Teresa, they let me use a
Yeah.
Legend. I was able to swing that for all weekend long, and enjoyed that. You and I got to put our hands on the Manticore while we were there. I really like that 2D display and that
Hmm.
whole system, how that works. Game changer in my opinion. Um, but I never really swung an Equinox. I never really
Yeah.
put my hands on an Equinox yet. So my mom, Christmas is coming up. My wife's like, "So if you wanted to buy a metal detector, which one would you buy?" And I still can't give her an
You
answer. I still couldn't give her an
haven't
answer.
made a
I just don't
decision.
know. I
I
just don't know.
I know we had uh, New Age Goonies, Dwight.
Yeah.
out for Rush to the Rockies, and we got a lot of exposure with the Legend being out there, and I really feel like at that time that was the direction I wanted to go. I really was ready to pull that trigger on that, and then the Manicore came out, and I was like, I don't know why, but something grabbed me on that.
Yeah.
Well, I do know why. I got to swing it in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I mean, that was insane.
That thin hammered dime was, that thin hammered Roman coin was bonkers.
Paper thin on
Paper
edge.
thin and on edge, and it was sweet. It was singing.
Yeah.
Singing and showing you that you would dig it 100 times out of 100. But yeah. So I don't know which way I'm going to go. I don't know. It's just crazy. The Deus is out there. Deus 2. Do I?
Phenomenal.
Yeah. When we were in Oklahoma, Teresa and Joe were just like, how many detectors did you guys have with you? You had like 8 or 9 detectors with you sitting there against the wall. And of course, they both were going to swing Deus all weekend long. They're Deus 2. And, tearing it up, did a great job and found some good stuff. Teresa found that miner's tag. And, people are swearing by that machine left and right. And
I coming back from, going into Oklahoma, I had moved off the Legend and started really believing I was going to spend the money and get the Deus 2. And when I swung the Manicore for the same price point, I said that's where I'm going to head next. So
well, good, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll have it, and then I'll wait and play with that for a little bit, and then make my mind up which way I want to go. Shoot, but. Well, yeah. So some of the new changes with that, the 700, 900.
Well, they changed. They changed. They came in with the carbon fiber shaft as standard.
Yeah, that's cool.
The different cuff that we had seen on the Manicore, the different grip. Remember the grip?
Oh yeah, the grip that kind of changes the balance a little bit. You can almost bounce it on your index finger. Mm-hmm. It's got that little lip at the top, just underneath the head. That that was very different. Normally your hand is using the headpiece as its stop point, right? It's hand stop. Well, now they got this extra little piece onto the handle that kind of helps you keep control of it without putting as much pressure on that headpiece, which is cool. And there's coil ears too. Did they change up the coil ears, or did they keep them the same?
So on the Manicore we saw that they had changed them, and I thought that they had carried those over, but from what I've seen, they went back with the same ones only because the coils that are from the 600 and 800 interchangeable then with the 700 and 900, so they really couldn't change it.
That makes sense.
Unfortunately,
makes sense.
So that it's a negative, but it's a positive. You can still use the same coils,
right?
But you're still going to get those coils, which. From what everybody has been talking about, that's the the point. A lot of them have broken on on those models. So I'm happy to see that they changed them on the Manicore, but they had to carry it over to the 700 and 900 so that can interchange them. Yep.
So
some good
how
stuff.
Long, here's the should we start a pool?
Yeah.
An office pool. The Relics Radio group, Facebook group, office pool.
Sure.
How long of time, you guys answer in the chat too, until they no longer offer the 600 and 800? Like when are you going to start seeing those not available on the...
What's today?
12/8.
I tell you, since they made the announcement, I have seen a lot of 600 and 800s up for sale.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're not gonna update it. They're not going to update it. They're not going to offer new things to it. So
there's really no advantage to it, is there? Who would go?
No.
I know a little bit. What are the price points like comparative? I don't know what the 600 and 800.
Yeah, I think they dropped it $100 on both of them again. So I think it's what is it? The 600 is it $599, and then I think the 800 is $799 or $6, something like that.
How does that compare with the 700, 900?
Well, $699 for the 700, so it's $100 more.
Yeah,
and then
so $10.99. A little bit of a price difference, but I don't think that's enough to sell.
No,
I don't think that's enough to sell the machines, the 600 and the 800, when the technology has moved up for another $100,
Yeah.
100, even $200 would be worth it to get the improvements.
Right. Yeah. Over in the
So,
chat, Hollywood Joe and Dave Cruikshank they both said just till they sell out and whatever, they're not going to create anymore. They've got the stock, and whenever they sell out of it, that's it.
gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
but like I said, they got the 700, 900 enough stock already to get them sold or shipped out and sold. People already have them. So this was, I tell you, I know Joe said he knew this in Oklahoma that they were coming out with this. To me, it's been pretty good secret for them to have.
Yeah.
To get
I heard
the stock.
nothing about it. And I'm not bragging or anything.
I had talked with Joe.
We both keep our ears to the grindstone in this hobby. And I heard no whiffs about it. So congratulations, Mind Lab. That was a good job.
They did well.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't hear much about it at all. But yeah, I mean, I tell you what though, there's people that love their 800 and their 600, right?
Sure.
Zach swings a 600.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend Zach and Beth, and they'll just be like, look, finding plenty of stuff with my 800. Just going to keep swinging that thing. I mean, people still find plenty of stuff with the AT Pro, and
right.
It's their favorite machine, and you swing what you know, and you swing what you find stuff with, and get your coil over it.
How do you feel? This is something that I want to hear from everybody in the chat, because this is what I thought about, and I'm also going to ask you. How do you feel about them? The big hoopla about the Manicore, the wait for it to get sent out. Then they sneak the 700, 900 in there. How does that make you feel?
Well,
should there be a longer time between those kind of releases? Are they cutting their nose off to spite their face there and putting 3 machines out within a couple months of each other?
As a businessman,
yeah,
I personally didn't think it was the best move, smartest move. I think, from a pure business profitability standpoint, and now things I don't know is I don't know about the logistics they were dealing with. They probably were already manufacturing these things. They had already made that commitment, and they knew Christmas was coming out. So they're like, offer 3 products instead of just 1. And then after Christmas, with all the money it's spent, then we come out at some point mid-year with the other 2. And we got plenty of stock. At some point, they got to start selling off their stock and replenishing their investment.
Sure.
And Joe's right; it's all about the money. And I don't think it was anything nefarious, right? It's funny. I was on his radio show last night, and the host of the radio show was asking me about. We were talking about Forrest Fenn, and he was asking me about, if it was a nefarious plot, And I know a lot of people like to, in any situation, I don't care what it is, a lot of people like to see the nefarious plot in everything, And I don't think that was Mind Lab's intent. I don't think they were out to try to, milk everybody for every dollar they had. I think it was just more of a supply and demand and what they had committed to, and it just so happened that they were going to have all this out. Now, Christmas coming, it was a big thing. They want to get all that out before Christmas.
I think that's
just a huge shopping and huge time for any kind of retailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think there was anything nefarious behind it.
I'll just tell you though. I mean, personally, I'm kind of put off a little bit by it because I know the 700, 900 are they're a lower machine comparative to the Manicore, but that whole thing, and now I'm still sitting here waiting for the Manicore, and all of a sudden 700, 900 come out, they're shipping, people already have them. So maybe I'm just butthurt like in that way. I'm still waiting on this, this machine, and they sneak this other one underneath it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to deal with here.
Right. It's like, they've got the Mercedes S-Class or something, and they've always had the S-Class, and then, they decided to come out with an S-2 class, which is basically the S-Class with just a bunch of extra, arm cuffs and leather coating on the inside.
More cup holders.
A couple more horsepower and stuff. But then they come out with this Mercedes, Excalibur Z, Ultra car that is just something completely different.
Right.
And it's going to take them a while to produce that and get it into your hands. Whereas if they're just making some interior finishes and exterior finishes, changes and a little bit, I
That's
mean,
true.
but you're
A
right.
little
The
bit
people that
easier.
don't have the Manticore in their hands yet, I'm sure, are absolutely chomping at the bit. And, you know, it
Yeah,
would be great to have that in their
it'll
hands
be
by
here.
now.
I mean, I'm just anxious because I know we're going to England, and I want to get my hands on. Like I said, I've already hung everything else up. I want to get that Manicore and try and find somewhere to put in some time before we go to England. So maybe that's what I'm struggling with as well. It sounds like all personal problems, right? First world problems. I don't have my $1,600 metal detector here yet. I'm
Wah,
pissed.
wah,
Yeah, right. Exactly. Some cheese with that wine.
wah. Call you a
Maybe
ambulance.
that's what it is, huh?
I'd be in the same boat, dude.
I'm anxious.
If I decided to pull the cord on the Manticore, I'd be pulling my hair out. I'm sure. I wouldn't be as flippant about it, but I can
That's
give you
right.
a bad time about it. We're buddies.
Absolutely.
Shoot. Well, hey, let's get on with the product. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the phone lines
Let's
right
do
now.
that.
So, you guys want to call in and talk about anything? You want to talk about some winter advice, things that you do in the winter, or maybe you even want to have some thoughts on the things we've already talked about, which is all this development here in our hobby in the manufacturing. Go ahead and throw us a call. Tony just put the phone number in the chat, and I'll be looking for calls coming in. I'll put you on the air. You can chat with us. But if you're listening live, but not in the chat, our phone number is 270 495 0315. 270-495-0315. Give us a call. Would love to hear from you and chat about this crazy hobby and community of ours. I'll tell you what, all kinds of good stuff going on though, man. There's a lot of,
It's
we don't always
positive.
have a ton of excitement and movement happening in our community here, and so it's always fun when you have stuff like this to talk about. I think last time we had Delic on too, she was talking about all the different stuff they've got coming out,
Hmm.
and just when are they going to pull the trigger on their PI machine and all kinds of other stuff like
Right.
that. And Garrett, I'm sure, will be coming out with some announcements, fairly soon as well. And you never know what, maybe Technetics and Fisher and Bounty Hunter are going to probably come out with some stuff fairly soon. So exciting time for you as a detectorist. But the machine is only half the battle, man.
Yeah.
You put a good tool in your hand, it doesn't make you a good gardener. You know what I mean? Like you've got to know where and how to plant those seeds. And I tell you what, got a call coming in right now. Let's add to the call here. Tim Mill Digger's on the phone with us here on.
All right.
How you doing, buddy? Tim, are you there? Can you hear? Oh,
I'm
Tim?
here.
There he
Hello.
is.
Hey,
how are you,
Tim.
buddy?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you.
Yes.
No, I didn't. I didn't hear you guys say hello or anything. So,
Oh,
hello.
gotcha. Yeah, hello. How are things in sunny Illinois?
Rainy Illinois.
I can see the moon tonight. The sky's finally cleared up. It's been kind of nice the last few days. It's supposed to get kind of nasty the next few though.
Yeah.
So,
You guys
yeah.
get really cold there, right? Are you near the lake at all? You get that lake effect and stuff?
About an hour away, so
Yeah,
we don't get too much lake effect this way.
gotcha.
No.
Well, what's up, man? What's on your mind tonight?
Well, you guys are talking about the new detectors. I was wondering if you guys have heard about the detector special coming out the day after Christmas.
Say that again about the Detectorist special. Oh, yeah. Are you getting over in the UK?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The detectors, the special.
Well, yeah, go ahead and tell us about that. Now, go ahead and tell us about that, when it's coming out and stuff. And then, Tony, if you want to follow up with him on that about what the show's about. There may be people out there that don't know what the Detectorist is.
Okay. So it was a special on Netflix. I think it's premiered in, I don't even want to say, but I don't know, maybe 2017 or something like that. But they only had 3 seasons. I think there's 19 episodes altogether between the 3 seasons. Gained a huge cult following, and then the producer, who also stars in the show, basically decided he didn't want to pursue it any longer, so he stopped producing it, and it just kind of went by the wayside. But he's got a lot of requests and stuff on Facebook and whatever to bring it back. Well, he said he would bring it back if a certain, like, a special storyline popped up, or he thought of something special. So evidently he thought of something, and he's not going to do a whole season. I guess he's going to do it's a 75-minute special, and they just announced yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, that they're going to air it on BBC on Boxing Day. So Boxing Day in the UK is the day after Christmas, the 26th of December.
Wow.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, me too. I know our friends over in the UK too. A lot of them listen to the show as well, and they're excited for it too. I mean, once you watch that show, you're going to get so hooked. So, Tony, tell us about the show. Like, tell us kind of what the theme of the show is. And
so, I mean, it kind of is just a weekly show. I don't know when they had it out, if it came out weekly, new episodes, whatever. But it was a lot about relationships and things like that. But it had intertwined in it was all about metal detecting over in England, talking about their pursuit of finding these incredible historical things. But a lot of it was about relationships. And the comedy of it was incredible. A lot of dry humor, a lot of metal detectorist humor. That if you don't swing a machine, if you're not involved in the community, you wouldn't think twice about some of the things that they say. But if you know anything about detecting, you can pick up on these little things, and it is one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. And I'll tell you, I watch these episodes nearly nonstop. I'll watch a couple episodes every week. I listen to it as I go to sleep, and I love that entire series. And I'm so excited. I was really excited when they came out with the third season, and then like Tim said, they just decided to just stop. He didn't want to take it any further. Didn't want to kind of run it into the ground or anything like that. And it just kind of. It's kind of like Seinfeld, right? Seinfeld, it was like they were at the peak, they were number one, and they just stopped, right? It's kind of the same thing with Detectorist. They were going so well, they had a huge following, and they just decided, I'm not going to run this in the ground, it's not going to wear out its welcome, and we're just going to stop it right here. And all the followers have just been really excited about, is it coming back? I mean, all these rumors out there, new season, new episodes, and so I'm excited to see that new episode coming out.
It's awesome. Yeah, Bill in the chat said he just posted a link to the Detectorist episodes, and it's one of those shows where you can. I mean, even if you're not detecting, you can still watch it. Like, because it's a comedy buddy TV series basically. To where you're seeing a lot of their trials and tribulations just as being, humans living their life, but it's all wrapped around them as metal detectorists, and, the local club and the kind of competition between the clubs, and just the insight into the detecting community is great. Like, I don't know who their advisors were, but they did a great job. I mean, when you see them swing, they're swinging correctly. Like, they've done a good job in kind of honoring the community. And I saw a special where they were interviewing a lot of the cast, not cast, but a lot of the crew of that show. I saw an interview with a bunch of the crew, and they were asking them, have you ever swung a metal detector? And like a lot of them were like, nah, I picked it up once and I didn't like it, but a few of them were like, yeah, I started swinging it, and it's like, I actually went out and bought one, and like, it's really cool, So it's a great show, man. It's so funny. Like, some of the episodes I can think back on, it just was just
Michael Boyles in the chat said he's talking about finding the fence topper, thinking it was a Roman spearhead. And then you look over to the fence and it's missing the top on the fence. Just those kind of things. They just have the worst luck at it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my favorite part. Yeah,
Ring pull.
Ring pull. Yeah, one of my favorite. I'll never forget. One of my favorite episodes was the. Real quick, it doesn't blow anything, but Because it was just, and here's the thing, right? Like they could have built this up to be the big whammy of the whole show, but this was just a side. This was just a side little joke, but it just cracked me up so much. The one character's doing research on the computer and he's looking at maps and he's looking at like aerial shots and maps of like land, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, they're in England, right? So they have Roman burial mounds and such, and he sees the faint outline of this circle. And actually 2 circles, and they're right next to each other, of these Roman mounds, these Roman burial mounds. And it's kind of just barely showing its way through the grassy, you know, satellite image that he's looking down. And he goes running over to his partner. It's like, look, mate, look what I found. Oh, you believe it's just right down the road, you know? And he's looking, and the guy's like, oh my gosh, Roman burial mounds. And he's like, yeah, you know, and that's so funny, man. And then they end up like zooming out or something like that, and you see the words Google that came across this page, and it was the 2 O's of the word Google, and he was just too zoomed in, you know. And they had this ghostly overlay on it, and they both look at each other, and it's just like wah wah wah.
He says, "Look closer at it. Does it seem to spell anything? Does it seem to spell Google?"
Right.
right.
Closer, mate.
Oh my
Closer,
gosh!
So fun.
I love that.
Because we could all see ourselves
video.
doing that same thing, right?
Oh my gosh! Well, when
I was going to tell you, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tim.
Lance and Andy, whoever, I forget their names in real life, but both of those guys melee tech as a hobby. Like,
yeah. So Mackenzie Phillips.
Yeah.
The guy, yeah. And they've both been in other stuff, and they're just wonderful actors as it is.
Yes.
Yeah, and they both metal detect, and they've been on shows being interviewed, and they talk about it a lot and stuff. And yeah, just a great show. So thanks for bringing that up, man. I forgot that was coming up.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can. I'll have to see if I can watch it. I know it's not easy to watch shows over in the UK, as Tony and I both have learned recently. But you know, there are some ways of doing it. If you want to look into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if not, I'm sure after a little while it'll be on probably Netflix or one of the other streaming sites.
I had put a link to the Detectorist series link through Facebook where they post a lot of stuff. There's 9,600 members there, and people are you know, so that we might have a link maybe, you know, there early or something that we'd be able to watch it if we can't see it some other way.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see it as quickly as possible. Should be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm surprised, Tim, you're interested in it, because from what I heard from little birds whispering in my ear, they're not even going to let you into England anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, I seen made a post online. I seen.
As soon as the Queen passed, and
that was
King
it.
Charles took over, they're like, nope, that Tim Ildigger guy, he's not coming over anymore. He's taking all of our gold.
That's it. That's all right. I guess I'm going to go to Germany next year instead.
Oh.
Dude,
well, thanks for leaving some of that gold for Ken and I to go find.
That's right. We're going to go find your scraps in March. Germany will be fun, though, man. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dave. That'll be a blast.
Oh, my gosh.
You guys will have all kinds of fresh ground by the time you get there.
Yeah, everything will be turned and waiting for us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Even if the fields that haven't been turned will still be just as huntable. I mean,
can't hit it all, man.
You know how it is. I mean, you miss it by an inch, miss it by a mile. I mean, there's plenty of ground out there.
Right.
Love it.
I remember one year they showed me, the year before we went last time, they showed me the previous group, they had like hooked GPS trackers up to everything, and they like did this printout of where everyone went. And you looked at that printout, and it was just like little ant trails in the middle of this mass field of where they swung their coils, and it was just very little overlap, and it just looked so random. And then a large concentration, like on 4 or 5 different spots, and it's like that's where somebody found something. So everyone came over and huddled, and then kind of hit the area around it, and then they dispersed again. But yeah, you're just like, yeah, you're not gonna. It was so thin and so sparse and so spread out. There was no way you're gonna be able to hunt it all for sure.
Yeah, I mean, some of them fields are so big, and even if you decide you're gonna just pick a section and grid it off, you couldn't even grid that section off thoroughly.
Right.
I mean, really, I mean, it's just so some of them fields are so vast, and
Yeah.
it's great
I hear
ground.
ya.
You'll have a blast.
Yeah, we're
but Tony may know.
we're looking forward to it. Definitely making plans and stuff. Well, hey, thanks for calling, Tim. Stay warm out there as it's getting colder. We appreciate you calling into the show.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Cool.
You too.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, bye.
Yeah, hey, and if you want to be like Tim, you want to call into the show, our phone number here is phone lines are open 270-495-0315.
So,
Did
Ken,
you ever watch game? Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was
What's
going to
that?
ask you what's your favorite website to use for research?
For research?
Yeah. Yes, let's make it specific. For research.
Yeah, for research. Yeah, I'm like, should I tell you or not?
Loaded question there. Yeah. No. Talk about research here. Which one's
yeah,
your
in the
favorite?
wintertime, we do a lot of research, Tony and I. We do a lot of research and a lot of reaching out, and we've even kind of contacted landowners, especially if they're the kind of landowners that are remote and not here in Colorado. We just kind of go fishing for permissions that way. But yeah, research websites for me it's changed over the years. I'll tell you what. Used to be oldmapsonline.org.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's switched to USGS historical topo maps. I think I like that one, especially if there's some older maps signed, because it's really easy to do the overlay and see how things line up. Man, when I did that World War II prisoner of war camp,
Yeah.
you should see, man, how well that lines up. And I know exactly where everything is there. It was just really great.
I just threw the link in the chat over there, and if you guys haven't seen that yet, you need to go over to that site, because it is amazing. But I will tell you, it's hit or miss. If you don't have maps, I mean, there's nothing there. But if they have maps of the areas that you're looking at, it is incredible.
Yeah, and we'll post all these links down below for people that listen later that don't go on the chat, don't read the comments. We'll post them in the description and all these sites we're going to talk about tonight. But the way the USGS historical topo maps work is you go to that link, you go to that site, and then there's a search bar that you just enter in a location. You can enter in a city, you can enter in a zip code, you can enter in an actual address. And then it goes to that site, that location, and gives you a map, a current map. And then you can even take your mouse and click on a spot. And down at the bottom, there'll be this historic runner bar that'll tell you every map that they have and what year that map is from that encompasses that spot where you've clicked on the map. And so you just start scrolling to the left to try to go back as early as you can find. And lo and behold, there's a 1906 map, let's say. Mm-hmm. And you're like, cool, show me that map. You click on that map, and then it brings it up. And then there's a slider bar for changing the opaqueness and the overlay opaqueness of the map. So you can kind of change that in and out. And you can add pins to it and just kind of really see some great overlays. And, oldmapsonline.org used to do that too. Mm-hmm. And that's a pretty good one as well. But it wasn't as accurate as the historical topo maps, the USGS. It wasn't as accurate. The overlays didn't quite line up on a lot of different. Sometimes they did, but a lot of times they wouldn't. So
I know Ohio Relic Hunter said historicaerials.com is a site that he recommends as well. And I know you've used that.
One. That's the overlay one, right?
That's the overlay one. Yeah, the old maps is a different one, but
right. That's right.
And they have a really good watermark as well on historicaerials.com.
They do, but that's the one I was talking about. That's the one That's the one I was talking about, where sometimes the overlays don't really line up as much, at least in Colorado. For all the ones I checked here in Colorado, a lot of the maps they did back then were really kind of hard to line up. But historical topo maps, US from the USGS, have really seemed to work that way. How about you? What's one of your favorite sites?
That USGS is my go-to. I have that saved as my favorites on every computer that I have, and I use that religiously. But I will tell you, if you can get good maps, any of the Sanborn fire insurance maps,
Oh, great.
if you have some of those for the area that you're looking for, those can be invaluable.
Yeah, what is that? People that are listening might not know what a Sanborn fire insurance map is.
I think you're probably better to give a description of it than I am.
It's basically insurance companies back then would send around adjusters and inspectors and insurance people to go map out areas of a city. As the city was growing, they would add to it, and then what they would actually do is they would actually draw building locations. Sometimes when you go on Google Maps and you're searching a Google satellite image and you zoom down in it to where you can see the buildings on each side of the street. And you can even see that if you go out of the satellite image and kind of look, you can actually see the buildings on some of the like Google Map search and stuff. But Sanborn fire insurance maps were all kind of done by hand. And that what they put down is they actually would put down what kind of structure it was made out of, whether it was a concrete or brick structure, whether it was a wood structure, how many stories it was, and kind of the general use for it. And that's where the really nifty use of those maps comes in handy. Is you can see where the saloons were, you can see where the stables were, you could see where the local churches were, where and then it says in there what they were made out of. But you can really determine like where the gathering points were from some of these fire insurance maps. And like I said, they would release them not every year, but they would release them maybe every 2 to 3 years, where these cities, man, I'm telling you what, in 1870s, 1880s, cities were exploding. They were just growing so much, especially here in Colorado. So you look at the 1870s Sanborn map and it's just like, 4 streets and, 10 buildings. And then you go to the 1881, 10 years later, and it's, tons and tons of buildings. It's just exploded. And what they do is they have a key map that they show that's kind of like shows the different areas and has a number on the key. And then they have individual maps for each of the key areas where it's blown up. So again, not really any function to zoom in on those things. They are what they are. You can download them. You can blow them up yourself if you really need to get in there close. But it was a Sanborn map that made me learn about the town I used to live here in Colorado called Longmont. It was the start of J.C. Penney's. Like this little store on Main Street was the beginning of J.C. Penney's.
Well,
and
what's really cool
I was able to know exactly where that's at now.
Yeah.
I know exactly what building that is. It's like a bar now.
Right. Yeah. You look at it and then you can drive past it and go, gosh, that was such and such, 100 years ago. And now it's nothing to do with it. It's a real estate building right now or so,
Right.
That's so cool.
Right. There was a bank there. There was a saloon next to it.
Right.
There was a meat market next to that. You're like, they were spending money right there.
Right there.
You know what I mean? So they started tearing up that road,
and when
that sidewalk or that
they're doing the
street
sidewalk
right
tear outs. That's where you want to be
That's where you're headed. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right there's where you're headed.
I really like that they tell you what the business was in that location. And like, what did it say over here in the chat? I lost
the Privy Pits.
Yeah, the Privy Pit. Yeah, Ohio Relic Hunter says that they show Privy Pits as well. So it's a very detailed map about really the activity of what was going on in that small town at that time. And like Ken said, if you're looking at where they're spending money, that's where you're going to want to find those coins when they're doing those sidewalk tear-outs. And you can see the Privy Pits and go to that area. But I really like it that it's detailed, tells you, the name of the business, what type of business, even the owners of that particular location, the corrals that were there, all of those kind of different things.
Parade grounds.
Oh my gosh.
Parks that they developed then.
Just being able to research the history of whatever town that you're doing or looking at, to me, I just love knowing the historical side of that town. And those Sanborn maps are fantastic for that. I think they are.
Yeah, because think about it. You go, you drive around. If you're like us, our heads are always on a swivel, right? So you're always
Nonstop.
looking and stuff. And then let's say you're in a new town that you're just not that familiar with, and you're driving around, and you see like this empty lot. Maybe you're like, I wonder why that's an empty lot. I wonder what they're doing there. There's just a few trees, but there's no building there really. So then you go and you find a Sanborn map for it, and you're like, oh, that used to be a park.
Boom.
You're like, no, I've got to find the owner of that property. I've got to get in there. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great. It would just, they didn't know back then that they were providing such a valuable service to us future detectives. I'll tell you that.
That's right.
But those are great, absolutely great maps and stuff. So when you go on something like USGS historical topo maps, tell us about how you do your research, Tony. Like, I know for a while there you were like trying to pull up the old maps and looking for the school sites and stuff like that.
Yeah, the school sites are going to be they're going to be like, they look like houses with a flag on top. So you have a house with a pole coming up off the peak of the house with a flag that comes off it. Those are going to be your school sites.
Little icon, right?
Little icon of where they were located on the map. And then you're going to have your churches, which will be the same thing. It's a house. Instead of a flag, you'll have a cross that comes off the top of it. Those to me are spots where they congregated a lot. They had dances, they had meetings, that's where everybody they all went to and had good times back then. Would be your churches and your schools. They use the schools for a whole bunch of different things.
Right.
So those are the places that I really look for a lot. And I tell you, when I'm doing it in Colorado, I'm looking for intersections, four-way intersections, and on that corner would be, the symbol of the church. So from there, I'll use that slider and see because names of streets have changed obviously over time as well. And so it may not be what it is today, what it was named previously. So I'll try and, I'll use that slider, try and find out what the names of the streets are, and then I'll head over to just a regular map site, Google Maps or whatever, and go and see, I used Google Maps specifically because they have the overhead, the satellite image of it, and find that intersection where there used to be a school, do the satellite image overhead and see what's there now. Generally, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, like eastern Colorado, northeastern Colorado, those kind of different things, you're going to find that it's usually just open fields that are still there right now, but there's no structures there, there's no buildings there, there's no stores or anything like that right now. So those are the areas that I look for when I'm doing that research if I'm trying to get out to the middle of nowhere.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes they'll show mills, like mill sites on there next to mines and stuff. Like they'll have, coal mines were big here for a while down in the Meade area and stuff. And they would kind of like, they would put on there, mill sites. Sometimes you would be able to see, waterways and kind of the way the river ran back then. Sometimes you can find old maps that show crossings of those rivers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm the same way too. It's like, it depends. I can do I usually do both ways, right? Either you're coming where I'm going to go fishing and pull up an old map and then go look for those icons and key in on that and then use the slider to see what's there now, right? On the overlay. And then if that's not clear enough, go to a satellite image on Google and see what's there now, right? A lot of times though, if I see a house, these little square dots that are houses or buildings, when I see that house and I go and I do the overlay and I use a slider, the house is still there.
Yeah.
So one, it gives me a sense of how old the house is, how long it's been there. Well, I know at least it's been there. If the earliest map I have is in 1906 and it's showing that house, chances are it's been there a lot longer than 1906. So, was it built in 1900? Well, then what I can usually do is I can go look at something like Zillow real estate app on my phone or on the computer and pull up that house and click on it. It has a map feature on Zillow, and I can go there and kind of click on that house and it'll tell me the year it was built. So then it gives me a lot of information I go with. And as far as how long that house has been built.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times it shows the house there. And a lot of times what I'm looking for is on the old map, it's showing a home. And on the new map, it's not. It's a field now, or it's an empty lot. Those are the kind of sites I really want to go see.
Yeah.
School sites, church sites, like Tony said. But if it is like pre-1900 house, and I'm like, cool, that's pretty old for Colorado. Anything 1870s plus is pretty old here. Cool. Then I want to go try to find out who the owner of that is, and
Mm-hmm.
how do we go about doing that? And there's a few steps we have to take, kind of find out who the owner is, and try to then decide how we're going to contact him.
Yeah. I know that I use a couple different routes to try and find the owner. One is you can go to the county website, to the assessor's office, and put in the address. If you've got that address of that location, say, you went to Zillow, you got the address and when it was built and everything, you can just type that in, and generally it's going to tell you who the owner is. It's public information, and you can use those county websites to find that information. If there's no home there, you don't necessarily know what the address is. It's a field. You don't know how many acres are owned by the owner of that area. I use OnX, the OnX app. You have to pay for it per year, and you can actually download or pay for different states, I believe. It's a hunting map for large game, those kind of different things. So we do a lot of that out here in Colorado. So I have access to that app. And so what you can do then is they have a really good satellite feature on X. And you can click on it. It's going to tell you the size of the acreage. It's going to tell you the name of the owner, as well as the address of where that owner lives at. And generally, if we find these old this old land or whatever, that's just land now, there's nothing there, there's no structure, those people that own it don't even live in the area. They obviously don't live on that 160 acres or whatever. And so it gives you a spot then that you can go and door knock after that. And I think I've gotten a lot of permissions just door knocking and saying, hey, you guys, I'm a metal detectorist. I'm interested in the area that's over at such and First and Main Street over there. There's, a large plot of land, and we know that you guys own that. I'm looking for a house that used to be over there in the 1870s, and we're just interested, if you'd let us go over there and metal detect. And number one, after they go, how did you find me? Then they generally don't have an issue with us going over there, because there's no structures there. You're not digging in the tulips or anything like that. So that's how I generally find those kind of areas. If there's no structures there, if it's just a big field, and I was gonna say, the part that I really love about the research side of it is when I do find an old house, say it's an old house, I find the location on a satellite map over the top. And I know you and we send pictures back and forth. When this happens, we'll be looking at the satellite, and you start zooming in where you're trying to find where this structure used to be. And all of a sudden, they say, no, right angles don't exist in nature. And all of a sudden you find 4 right angles. You found a foundation. You found where that structure sat. And I tell you, the excitement that comes over me is just, I go crazy over that, because I'm like, there's no guessing where it was in this field. It is right there in that field, and it's you can see it on that overhead. And once you find that, forget it. I'm on to who owns it, when am I going out there, and I'm charging the machines right now, because if you can find that kind of stuff, gosh, it's God, that feeling that happens. Oh,
You're getting it right now.
I am. I just go crazy for that. It's insane.
The goosebumps, man.
It is.
I can't imagine what it's like for people that live in the part of the country that have cellar holes.
Yeah.
And they're able to go into the forest and stuff, and they happen upon a cellar hole. Like, I can't even imagine that. Like, that would just give me the goosebumps so much, and would just be so exciting to me. Like when we went up in the mountain, and I think we saw that one cellar hole, but it was on private property. It was still so exciting, even though we couldn't get in there. I was like, "Oh man, that's an actual cellar hole right
We
there."
stood there looking at that, going, that looks like it is back
like
east.
It was a unicorn. Like it was a unicorn.
We don't see that in Colorado, right?
We don't. When we do, it's exciting, I'll tell you. Yeah, so either on these maps, either I'm looking for symbols and then comparing it to what's there now, or I've driven by and twisted my neck and found an empty site, an empty plot of land that I want to know what used to be there. And then I'll go and do the overlay just to see if there was any home sites there, any stuff. And those are the two ways. And then also, instead of entering the address, you can also, in some of these assessor's office have these GIS maps that you can go and do a property search, and it just gives you a map. A lot of them have just maps that you can then zoom in on the property in question, and you start seeing the outline of the property lines of all the different property lines, a lot like OnX does. And Gaia GPS. I use Gaia GPS for that too, which is another program, another app, which is great because you can put pins on it and you can kind of do a bunch of stuff after you've done your overlays and stuff. So you have then targets to go out there and hit from a GPS standpoint. Same as OnX, I believe.
Yeah.
But then you just click on the plot of land, and two things. One, you see exactly at that point how much land they actually own that's connected to the one little house plot that you're looking for. Sometimes it's multiple plots and they own it. And also you can right click on it and you can see, or click a button and see the information and see who the owner is. And then, like Tony said, then you have the option to go try to locate them. It's great when they're local. It's not so easy when they're not local. So a lot of times, or they're an LLC that owns it.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
You see a bunch of abandoned farms and you're like, oh my gosh, they're getting ready to destroy that and build a bunch of homes. How can I get permission for that? So you go look it up, and all of a sudden it's owned by some house development LLC or a trust, a person that owned it before, a living trust. Trying to get a hold of those people and trying to get permission is even harder, but sometimes I see that as a challenge that I like, because it's always a learning experience. Like I'll try a different tactic with each time I try to approach them. To see exactly how I go about doing that,
Yeah, I've struck out quite a few times, more often than not with the LLCs. Generally because it's one of two things out here in Colorado, at least. One is it's going to be livestock owner. There's a guy that lives out in Elbert County, and he owns like 50% of Elbert County. Approach him and ask him, hey, listen, there's this area. But he will not let you on because it's full of livestock. That's what his business is, and he doesn't want people out there. Or the second one will be that land development company where they've purchased it, and in the future they're going to be developing, neighborhoods and things like that. And I know that you and I both hate to see when you come across an old map, you see a structure, you see an old church, and then you do that overlay, and it's like a brand new 2021 do development right over the top of it.
Right, or concrete strip mall.
Oh, yeah.
That's
just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
Like, a few years too late. Hey, there's been some great suggestions coming in the chat. We should probably scroll back and look at some of this stuff. I know that Ohio Relic Hunter and Tim have been throwing up some great stuff too. And Bill says most maps on the atlas are from master atlases, and you find the legend page from that atlas a lot of the times, and the older ones from different cartographers. They use different icons, so it's not always the same thing, and that's true. I mean,
sure.
Tim was saying that he had a symbol on the map that's not on the legend. He said the blacksmith shop is marked as a circle with an X in it, but there's another symbol on the map that is just a circle without anything in the center. And does anybody have any ideas for that, or have we ever seen that symbol? That's a great question.
Yeah.
So if you guys have answers out there, go ahead and throw it in the chat here, or even comment later if you happen to be listening later. We go back and check comments all the time. Bill also said up the road, there's a site up the road from him, had some strange looking markings on the map, and he thought it meant swampland, but it come to find out these icons meant old orchards from the 1700s. Now, wow. I've seen orchard markings on old maps before. Definitely when I was looking up some of my genealogy maps and stuff from some of my family in the past, from the 1700s especially, it definitely shows where orchards were, or groves of trees. I love those old maps that show that stuff because they're all hand drawn and they definitely give you a different perspective, especially when you overlay them and you see that it hasn't really changed much since the 1700s.
Right.
Like the grove of trees is still there. The outline's pretty much the same. I know one of my king line is on some farmland, and there's a king cemetery there, and it's in the middle of a grove of trees, an orchard. And I've heard other relatives of mine that are out doing genealogy that have visited it before, and it's all dilapidated. It's not kept up. It's all overgrown. It's just in this grove of trees. They kind of cleaned off some of the headstones that have fallen over and broken, and some of them aren't even carved and stuff. But when I overlay that, like I can totally see where it's at and see they actually have a marker saying, graveyard,
Wow.
and it's right in the middle of the same. Like you can see the outline of the grove to the grove of trees to the field, that farm field, and it's all the same from
That's so cool.
mid 1800s. It's
That's
really
so
cool.
We've got a friend on YouTube, Pull Tab Commando. He purchased a home over there in Ohio, and through his research, he was actually able to find out that it was an old peach orchard was where this house and stretching out across further houses that are now there, but he has the original house to that orchard. And I know that because I forward the pictures onto you. The things that he's found in that location have been absolutely insane. Actually found a trash pit right outside his back door, and him and his wife have been back there digging, and the bottles that were coming out of there were just insane. But he didn't even know it until he looked up his house after he bought it and was like, wait a minute, what's
Didn't you find a plate on that property?
I think he did. Yeah.
He did.
I can't remember what kind it
Found
was.
a plate.
Yeah.
It's one of those square ones, I think, square eagle ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like a
Amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah, and somebody mentioned LiDAR, and we should probably chat about that. Now, I know my friends over in the UK, they use their LiDAR a lot. It's really well developed over there. A lot of areas have a lot of really great LiDAR maps. And basically what that shows is it shows kind of almost like an X-ray contour image of the ground. I know that they're using LiDAR like in the Amazon jungle,
the
rainforest,
rainforest,
and they're finding all kinds of things they never knew were there before. And it's great for that if you're in an area where they've had a lot of development for it, and in an area where, like I know here in Colorado, it's not the best. You can find them. I know the guy when we did, and Tony, I think you're frozen up. If you're still on with me, let me know. Either that or my internet's going out, one of the two. But they have it everywhere. You know what I mean? So check that out. If you guys do use it, let us know in the chat. What luck you've had with that. You know what I mean? Hey there, Tony, are you back with me?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. Perfect. You're back. That was weird. Skype just dropped you.
Strange.
Yeah. Hey, B-Man, welcome. Good to see you, man. First time in here. He's been able to catch the show. Welcome to the show. We're going to jump over to Copper Joe, who's calling in the show. Bring him online here. See if we can add him to the show here. 3, 2, 1. How are you? Good to see you.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, how are you, man? Can you hear us? Copper Joe. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. If you can hear us, try and call back Copper Joe. We'll try that. Now, Skype seems to be having problems, and that's how we run our show here through Skype. So, Joe, we can't hear you, buddy. Go ahead and try and call back. Oh, Joe, you there? Nope. Yeah. Go ahead and call back, Joe. Appreciate it. LiDAR, the software to run it is really huge. The files are really huge. It takes a lot of processing power and memory on your computer to run it. And it's an education. So, hey, it's winter time. Tell you what, go
learn something new.
LiDAR. Yeah. Go learn about LiDAR. Go learn about what kind of files to look for. A lot of government agencies put them out. A lot of local, university agencies put them out and stuff. And it's definitely interesting and a lot of fun, but can make your head spin too, right? I know a lot of people get frustrated with it and give up on it. But how about you, Bill? Let us know. Do you use it? Do you use it where you're at? Have you ever used it, Tony?
No, I haven't. Lots of people swear by it. Once you use it and understand it, figure it out, pick it up, it can be pretty incredible stuff. Like you were talking, using it down in, Brazil, Central America, even Mexico, trying to find all those old settlements and civilizations that, through that forest it's just so thick. They do it, from the top using it penetrates down through the trees. And then again, like I said, with the satellites, you get to see all those right angles, and all of a sudden you've got a civilization in an area that you never knew existed.
We put out this show that we said we were going to talk about stuff to do during the winter. And, I keep popping over there. My buddy Patrick, Pat Witten, he just posted a picture over on Relics Radio Group on Facebook. If you're not a member, head on over there and check it out. But yeah, man, you know what he does during the winter?
What's that?
He's in upstate New York.
Okay.
And he straps on a full dry suit, or I don't know if it's a dry suit, but it's a heavy duty, like industrial diving in frigid cold water. And he jumps in under the ice and he continues to detect.
Does he really?
He does. He continues to detect, even in frigid water. So if you guys are on the Facebook group, go over there and head out later today and check out the picture Patrick posted underneath tonight's announcement for the show. Pretty funny.
Wow.
And it's not funny. I mean, the guy does it, man. It's just absolutely crazy. Detects under the ice in a full on dry suit.
Good for him.
And, yeah. Bill said he can't run it. Tried several times. A couple of years now. I should probably try it again. I'm sure technology's come along. The maps have changed for sure. But what else do you do during the winter, Tony? Clean your equipment. I think that's clean your equipment and clean finds.
Yeah, I was gonna say run.
Organize.
Yeah, try and get the what do you call it, for the rusty iron stuff.
Yeah, the electrolysis.
Electrolysis. Yeah, you've got horseshoes and all the iron stuff, axe heads. Get that stuff all cleaned up real nice.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, are you on with us? Copper Joe.
Yeah. Hi. How you doing, DK?
Hey,
Good,
Joe.
Good to hear from you. Sorry we couldn't connect with you a little earlier. Glad you called back.
Oh, yeah. Well, a little mess up there.
Yeah.
So how you guys doing?
It's on all right. Not bad. How are things up there? Are you in the winter time up there yet?
Yeah. I was able to detect until the end of November, but now I'm putting the machines away, cleaned them up, and we're getting a little frozen ground now. But
how do you clean your machines up? How do you clean your machines up, Joe? What kind of things do you do to prep them for next season?
Make sure wash them down, make sure get all the dirt off them, and and just put them away. One thing I don't like to do is you never want to do is leave your machines out with the vehicles. When it's cold out.
Yes,
that just hurts them.
Yeah, all the innards on them. Yeah, Tim earlier said good time to take your coil covers off and clean inside there. And do you clean your finds as you go, Joe, or do you save them up in buckets and all kinds of other stuff? And you have some that you need to clean up for displaying, and others you need to do electrolysis on and all that stuff. Or how do you do your finds cleanup?
You talking about me?
Yeah. Do you do it as you go, Joe?
Yeah. I do, but and I have a hard time too. Sometimes you find some of this rusty stuff, and electrolysis really works, but I really haven't got into it that much. But I did find some interesting buckles a couple weeks ago down here, that kind of different. So,
what kind of buckles were they?
Well, it's a brass buckle, but it's almost how can I explain it? It looks like it's kind of like shaped kind of like how a bell would look, but it's a brass buckle. Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know if it's
an odd shape.
Or what.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
I just don't know. I think it might be horse tack.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sounds like maybe it could be. Yeah. A little decorative, maybe.
Interesting.
Or something, attachment.
Yeah. Very cool. So I'm glad you're able to still get out, Tony. Thank you very much. But hung up our stuff too by now.
It's got kind of we had a little break there. It's been nice. I mean, we're in the 30s and stuff every day, but now it's getting where it's going to get the ground's going to start freezing here. So we're going to have to wait till spring, but that's fine. But yeah, you guys are talking about these maps, and a kind of interesting thing I was talking about. Interesting what you're saying. One thing I like to do, especially in the wintertime, is like there's a map thing on the internet that kind of got an overlay of the satellite, imagery of the areas.
Is that historic aerials?
It might be, but it does is it overlooks the the areas where we hunt. And the guy I go with, Andy, kind of showed me this too. But when you look it over, what we look for is like anomalies in the ground, what looks different from the air,
Yeah.
Especially if you look for old Indian campsites, like the anomalies in the ground, features that it doesn't look natural,
Yeah.
And
sure.
then we concentrate on them areas, and we've been doing pretty good that way. So.
Nice.
That's a great tip. Yeah, absolutely. I know LiDAR, that's exactly what you're looking for, but you can even do it with normal satellite imagery and, rises in the land that don't look natural, rises that look like, maybe they're settled now, but maybe they just don't follow the natural. We have a lot of prairie land here and rolling hills and rolling prairie.
Yep.
But every now and then you see something like we were looking for a school site. Tony and I were looking for a school site, and we thought we knew the general area, and it was like, didn't really see it much on the satellite too much, but when we went by the site we thought of that, you could definitely see the rise of where the building sat, and you're like, that's got to be it. And sure enough, it absolutely was. So that's a great tip, Joe.
Yeah.
And another thing too, we kind of look for is like key features in the field. If we feel there's like a house foundation or there's a farm, one thing we look for is like where groups of trees were.
Yes.
So sometimes them still exist will be groups of trees,
Yeah.
There might be fields around there, but then all of a sudden there's a group of trees that just, and then that's where the home site was. So
Yeah.
Another good
Perfect.
tip.
around it,
Another good tip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trees and water, man.
Yeah.
Just follow that along. You're gonna find something for sure. But hey, Joe, we'll let you go. Sorry we couldn't get you on till late, but we're gonna go ahead and end the show. Best of luck to you. And Merry Christmas to you. It's coming up. Happy New Year. All that stuff.
Yeah. We'll get out in the spring. I'm looking forward to April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Us as well. Stay in touch, would you?
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Joe.
Right. Perfect. All right. Dave says he's
Wow.
not seeing any updates on the comments. Is an hour behind.
Nope. I've been getting them.
Yeah. Yep. I've been
Interesting.
seeing them. They've been popping in. We go live here, and then once we end the live show, which we're getting ready to do, then the show will be there forever. Stands there, and people can come back and listen later on. And normally, a lot of people do. But we appreciate you that listen live as well, and join us here in the chat. Join us here on the air as Tony and I bring you Relics Radio live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. and also online anywhere you can find podcasts. You can find Relics Radio, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. I mean, anywhere you find podcasts, you can find us over there at Relics Radio. Tony, what do you got?
Geez, I don't know, not much. You can follow me over on YouTube, 5280 Adventures. Catch me over on Facebook, Instagram, all the social media sites. Just type in 5280 Adventures, and you'll find me over there. Come visit with me, see what's going on. Lots of posts, lots of videos, and things like that, and some interesting things possibly coming up here in the future. So check me out over there, and I appreciate all the support.
Great. Perfect. Thanks for joining me tonight. Yeah, and I'm DK with Adventures in Dirt. You can find me on any of the social media sites at Adventures in Dirt, Adventures in Dirt. And looking forward to next Thursday, and I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas coming up. If we don't catch you again on another show right here on Relics Radio, everyone have a great night. Have a good weekend. If you're still able to get out, go get the good stuff, and we will catch you next time. We'll see you.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker, or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Apple Podcast, and many other podcast outlets. Please take a minute and hit the like button, and be sure that you follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. Be sure and visit Digging with Seven and Adventures in Dirt on YouTube, and check out the Relics Radio Facebook group page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to relicsradio@outlook.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope that you will join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.
Okay, we're clear.